Shreya is a 27-year-old copywriter, and today she's stepping into a VLCC clinic. She skipped lunch for her consultation, and as she steps onto the weighing machine, her stomach twists with anxiety. The VLCC wellness counselor jots down her height and weight. She conducts a body composition analysis. Her verdict: Shreya could get leaner by reducing fat and increasing her muscle mass. Then come the options, one of which is cryolipolysis, also known as cool sculpting. At first, Shreya thinks cryolipolysis sounds like the dream fix. It's the only process that would get rid of the fat for good. But there was a catch. It cost nearly 40,000 rupees per session, and it would take multiple sessions to lose 5 kilos. As Shreya was leaving, she couldn't help but think of Ozempic. After all, it could only be a tenth of the cost and faster. But again, another catch. She had read that people had gained the lost weight back. So, what was the point? That's the dilemma India's weight loss industry faces right now. Once, VLCC was the country's go to option for slimming. Now, it competes with injectable drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They are all part of a class of drugs called GLP-1. For context, it's short for glucagon like peptide 1, which basically helps with weight loss by affecting appetite and metabolism. These same drugs decimated weight loss programs in the US. Weight Watchers, America's most popular weight loss and maintenance program, went bankrupt this May. But that hasn't stopped Carlyle Group, a private equity giant. In 2023, it bought nearly 70% of VLCC for more than 2,000 crore rupees. And this was well after the implications of GLP-1 drugs had become clear. Next year, generic GLP-1 drugs will enter India. Experts predict the market could be worth more than $1 billion once that happens. Still, Carlyle isn't panicking. In fact, it has actually doubled down. It's adding 60 new VLCC clinics in 2 years, bringing the total up to 160, plus franchisees, which make up another 60 clinics or so. The logic behind these moves? There's actually a very simple reasoning. Whether it's cool sculpting or Ozempic, Carlyle knows that these treatments are just the beginning of most customers' beauty journey. You see, these journeys are longer and more eventful than just one procedure. This is how it usually goes. First, Ozempic leads to skin sagging, which then requires skin tightening, which causes wrinkles, and then that requires anti-wrinkle treatment. The cycle is, well, kind of endless. A Carlyle executive even told my colleague, the Ken reporter Nuha, that it's basically a gravy train. He said that people never stop at one procedure. After all, it's human desire to look young and attractive. So, it's never just a one-time thing. So, for Carlyle, Ozempic isn't a threat. It's just an entry point. Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host, Rachel Verghese, and every day of the week, my co-host Snigdha Sharma and I will bring you one news story that is worth understanding and worth your time. Today is Wednesday, the 12th of November. Aparna first hears about cool sculpting during a facial at VLCC. As a beautician exfoliates her skin, she casually mentions the fat on Aparna's arms. She then tells her that leaner arms would look better. Aparna was never insecure about her arms before. But now, one session to freeze away fat forever sounds kind of tempting. For context, in cryolipolysis, fat cells in parts of the body resistant to diet and exercise are broken down and crystallized under cold temperatures. Those cells are then flushed out by the body over time. So, while Aparna hasn't made up her mind about cool sculpting yet, it's easy to see why VLCC relies on this kind of selling. A Carlyle executive told Noha that when a customer walks in, she rarely ever signs up for just one service. This cycle is basically how the entire business works. It's also why Carlyle has been expanding fast. Another executive told us that it was opening new clinics in cities like Delhi and Bangalore. Also in smaller towns like Siliguri, Meerut, and Tirupur. They're targeting these areas because one, metros bring working women with disposable income, and two, non metros offer cheaper real estate. But not everything's going quite as smoothly as it sounds. VLCC also makes personal care products, things like face washes, face packs, and creams. After Carlyle's investment, they even acquired the men's grooming brand Ustra. But a senior executive revealed that because of this focus on clinic expansion, their product business has been neglected. He also told us that Carlyle has actually been very aggressive about opening new clinics. They aim to cross 500 in just the next 2 years. But it's struggling in the general trade market because they haven't invested enough there yet. The thing is, those products still make up about a quarter of VLCC's revenue. The sales clock a revenue of up to 70 crore rupees in a year. In fact, in FY24, total revenue grew by 20% to nearly 1,000 crore rupees. For now, Carlyle's bet is simple. If they grow the clinics first, then it's not a stretch to assume that the product sales will follow. A customer who comes in for a wrinkle reduction session could just as easily leave with a skincare kit. What's interesting is that VLCC has even priced its treatments very strategically. A basic 5 kilo weight loss plan costs about 8,000 rupees. That's cheaper than Ozempic or Mounjaro injections, which range anywhere between 3,500 to 17,000 rupees per dose. You see, in the UAE, VLCC already offers GLP-1 drugs. But in India, they're only prescribed for medical reasons. So, for everyone who can't get the prescription, the safer combination of cool sculpting, diet, and exercise remains the main option. As one Carlyle executive puts it, no one wants an Ozempic face, and weight loss is just where the beauty journey begins. More on this in the next segment. VLCC was founded in 1989 as Vandana Luthra Curls and Curves. It made slimming popular for a whole generation of women. The methods of choices they offered included laser and massage therapies. Now, Vandana and Mukesh Luthra still own 30% of the company. But right now, the beauty business looks very different from when they started. Most importantly, international appliances like cool sculpting machines are now all the rage. Today, VLCC's model is more holistic. A typical weight loss package includes three experts: a dietitian, a physiotherapist, and what they call a slimming doctor. The basic idea is to combine diet, exercise, and technology into one plan. Nuha even spoke to Sandeep Ahuja, VLCC's former CEO. He actually expanded the company from 30 to 250 stores across 12 countries. He told her that VLCC employs a scientific approach. They customize the nutrition advice, appliances used, and exercise regimen based on each person's body composition. But for nearly half of VLCC's patients, weight issues stem from medical conditions. In those cases, when this plan isn't enough, doctors can prescribe supplements or medication. Tanya Pandey, VLCC's CMO, insisted that because no drug is side effect free and because there are no shortcuts to building lasting health, they only recommend drugs when prescribed. Now, that's one way of looking at it. The other way is a little less idealistic. Behind the scenes, many clinics are actually experimenting with combinations. Dr. Preeta Kiran, a former VLCC doctor, told Nuha that some wellness centers have been pairing Mounjaro with cool sculpting because it seems to enhance results. And what's also happening is this: Pankaj Jetwani, the managing director of W Health Ventures, an investment firm focused on healthcare companies, offered a different point of view. He told Nuha that based on trends in the West, it seems like if one doesn't adopt GLP-1 drugs, then they become irrelevant. He gave the example of Weight Watchers, claiming that it failed because it was late to the GLP-1 game. But companies like Hims and Hers or Ro, on the other hand, they seem to be thriving. Dr. Kiran put it a little more bluntly. She said that in some ways, clinics like these have no choice but to incorporate GLP-1 drugs into their program. Basically, because the world has moved on, they need to keep up. Stay tuned. The world may have moved on, but India is still catching up. In the US, a recent poll by the RAND research group indicated that more than 1 in 10 adults have used GLP-1 drugs. Of the around 9,000 Americans surveyed, more than 10% said they had tried the drugs. Another 14% said they were interested in trying them, while more than 70% said they don't plan on trying them at all. There's also been a 40-fold increase in Ozempic and Mounjaro users between 2017 and 2021. Meanwhile, awareness of GLP-1 drugs is quite less among Indians, about 15%, based on the Ipsos Health Service report in 2025. The Carlyle executive quoted before said that the boom in GLP-1 medications is yet to come to India. While Carlyle is hoping that it does come, it doesn't believe it's quite there yet. None of that has faced VLCC though. A VLCC manager shared that the majority of its revenue, nearly 60%, currently comes from weight loss clinics, where it's a market leader. Another 15% comes from its beauty institutes. Of course, the Carlyle executive is even more optimistic about the company's prospects. He told us that there's been an underlying growth in disposable incomes. This has supported the growth of weight loss clinics. It happened to be the case in 2023, and the rise of GLP-1 drugs is only bound to accelerate this growth. So, the implication is basically that far from being a threat, the expected GLP-1 drugs explosion is just an opportunity for VLCC. The Carlyle executive then said that people who are considering using the pill should just take it. Because at the end of the day, all it will do is create one more long-term customer for them. And what that means is that whether or not Shreya chooses cool sculpting or Ozempic doesn't really matter. Either way, she'll likely continue to be a VLCC customer. And that is exactly Carlyle's biggest win.
Daybreak is produced from the newsroom of The Ken, India's first subscriber-focused business news platform. What you're listening to is just a small sample of our subscriber-only offerings. A full subscription offers daily long-form feature stories, newsletters, and a whole bunch of premium podcasts. To subscribe, head to theken.com and click on the red subscribe button on the top of the Ken website. Today's episode was hosted and produced by my colleague Rachel Varghese and edited by Rajiv Sien.